Welcome back to Africa This Morning. We are now on Table Talk. Today we are going to be discussing the film industry a little bit early on in the week. We are discussing the Kalasha Film Festival, and it's the Kalasha International Film TV Festival and Market. Yes? We are joined by two representatives. We have Lizzie Chongoti, who is the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, and we have Juliette Vivier, who is the Regional Audiovisual Attaché for East Africa, Embassy of France in Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
Thank you.
The conversation of film can be one that is very interesting to have, but we know that there are challenges that we're facing on the East African region. Let's start with the understanding of the Kenya Film Commission's mandate. Then we can dig deeper on the issues.
Thank you very much, and good morning again. Good morning. Our mandate as the Kenya Film Commission is really to create a conducive environment through creating policy frameworks with our parent ministry, marketing, promoting the industry, and marketing Kenya also as a preferred filming destination. So at the end of the day, we want to see a more vibrant local film industry, and also we want to see more films, international films, coming into the country. Yeah.
We'll discuss the policy aspect, the international films dawning into the market, and whether that's creating jobs locally, and what we can do to push the Kenyan story out, even as we're getting many to shoot their stories here. As the attaché, the audiovisual attaché for East Africa, what does that entail?
Okay, so the objective of having a visual attaché is to foster new business opportunities between the French film and TV companies and the East African film and TV companies. On top of it, you have a component which is more looking at the cooperation activities. But what we are aiming here with Kenya Film Commission is really to push and to move forward the industry, knowing that the industry now, thanks to the digital switchover, arrive at a certain level where it's there. So it's just need a little push to support the people to network, meet up with new media players, and develop new business opportunities, be able to showcase and expose what they are doing out there, and on the other way around. So this is what Kalasha International is about.
The standard of excellence when it comes to the East African region has never been in question. We are storytellers, and that is the nature of the African continent. Yeah. But we've always been at that point where we need a push. Yes. And that is a position that we've held for a very long time. What push do we need exactly?
A push in terms of business opportunities. You know, before in the past, it was more a local base. So how to structure the industry, I guess Kenya Film Commission did a lot of work on that. So first you have to structure yourself, and when you look at Kenya now, with the Copyright Board, with the Kenyan Film Commission existing, with the structuration, legally speaking, of the industry, they really moved forward. So now what we need to do in really to stimulate the intra-trade activity within the film and TV industry, and also to showcase the industry out there. So thanks to the digital switchover, now you have the content flowing throughout the continent. But when you look at in Europe, in Asia, or in North America, or even South America, they are looking at also African content, and this is where we have a card to play. So this is where is the push from the cooperation, the structuration, to now to jump into the real business industry.
Getting the money flowing.
Exactly.
As the Kenya Film Commission, at this point, we've mentioned two aspects that are shining in terms of light when it comes to the film industry, and also production matters on the East African region, and specifically Kenya. We had Juliette's testimony here indicating that we have positioned ourselves. One, the digital switchover is here. We are a storytelling nation. We have the content ready. Do we have the policies supporting the content providers so that you can be able to shine what is very strong in us and get that money flowing within the East African region and also Kenya?
Thank you. Yes, we do have a policy that is in the final stages. It's actually at a very high level government, and that was one of the statements that His Excellency the President again reiterated during the recent opening of the National Theatre. So that framework is going to be up in the next few weeks. But over and above that, also as government, it's to create other pillars. So the policy is one such pillar, and the bill, which of course will eventually become law, But this convergence that we are also creating through the Kalasha International Film and TV Festival and Market is another such pillar, because as you know, over and above the switch over, we have also the content quarters, which was not the case before. And the landscape has totally changed. So, you know, it's to bring together everyone across the whole spectrum of film and TV. So the broadcasters, the content makers, the policy makers, people who are dealing with equipment, you know, the regional players. So bringing them in a form of a convergence, because there's so much going on in this country. We have a robust mobile telephony framework, which is also a big platform for content. And yet we do not have such a business opportunity like the content market. We have it in the Southern African region, we have it in the Western African region. So really making Kenya the place to go to as the hotbed of creativity that we know we are.
You pulled very cleverly on the hashtag that was trending, and that is maybe an opportunity for that to trend as well.
Yes.
But we know there are challenges when it comes to ensuring that content is actually put out there.
True.
Challenges in terms of financing. What are some of the subsidies that could be in consideration to ensure that even as we are pushing for huge quota in terms of getting the broadcasters to consider having more of local content to broadcast, how are we ensuring that that is a possibility for content providers?
What the government is doing and what the general public may not be aware of is that at the end of July, there was a legal gazette notice for the Kenya Film Commission, a new one, because the first one was in 2005. And one of the key mandate areas that is in that new gazette notice is that we have the responsibility to establish a film fund. And that is a practice world over. So we are looking forward to government inputting into that fund, as well as other development partners. And like you have rightfully said, film is expensive to make. So I'm sure that will go a long way in terms of ensuring that we are able to get the quantity and the quality of local content that we require. Internationally, again, for the first time in our history, this year in the budget statement, there was a proposal to have a rebate system so that, again, the international filmmakers can be able to get a very attractive tax incentive package, which has been our biggest disadvantage in terms of competing with some of our very close rivals on the continent, like South Africa and others.
And Nigeria as well.
Yes, and Nigeria
on the
as well.
international front.
Yeah, and if I may add, a way also to push forward the quality, the international quality of the content and embrace the local productions is to foster network and business relationship with other players from out of Kenya or even out of the region. When you look at internationally, and I'm going to talk about some French players, for instance, you have this massive media companies named Lagardère. They launched last March a Pan-African channel named Guli Africa. So this channel is 100% dedicated to children content, and they are aiming to having a minimum of 40% of African content. So, you know, by having the opportunity of networking and getting to know these people, it's a way for the producers locally in Kenya to export their productions, to get some commissions as well out of Kenya, and step by step to improve the quality, because they're going to bring in more revenues. And on top of it, if you develop the industry, you're going to bring more and more productions coming from out there here in Kenya. And the part of the indirect revenues from the film and TV industry is massive, because you are working with the food and beverage industry, accommodation, insurance, banking, traveling, and so on and so forth. So everybody can benefit out of it. And this is where we are so committed to what we are currently doing, is to support the industry to grow, and it can really create revenue and jobs, but indirectly it will also impact the other industry of the country.
Even as you're looking at developing the industry, we cannot fail to mention academic institutions looking for opportunities right at the seedling level. Because when you look at the finished product after they've graduated, getting that struggle on can impact and even create a huger gap when it comes to pushing out content. How are we working with academic institutions?
We do work on it.
Yeah, we are working very closely, again, because we need to build the capacity of the Kenyan filmmakers to be able to produce this content that we are looking for. And we have had various film schools over the years, but they haven't always produced graduates who have hands-on experience. So now we are looking at programs that are likely to produce graduates who have, who are ready to serve the market. And because this is a talent-based industry, some may offer academic programs and some may also offer short courses, because the filmmakers who are already working may not also have the time to take 2-3 years out and go back to school. So for example, we have our parent Ministry of Sports, Culture and the Arts coming up with a talent academy, and that's already ongoing. That is going to train filmmakers. We also have Kenyatta University also coming up with a new establishment at the Ruiru campus, which is going to work very closely with industry in a very similar way to Utalii, hotel and college. The students, by the time they graduate, they really have the hands-on experience. And then of course we have the USIU as well, that is partnering with top French universities, hopefully to come up with one of the best schools in animation on the continent, which is going to be great, because then a lot of work is outsourced to Asia, in terms of animation, and that work can now be outsourced to Kenya, where you do not have time differences, so there's no issue of jet lag. There are no cultural barriers, there are no language barriers. So that is really going to also open up a lot of job opportunities for us.
Are we forgetting the other institutions like the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, Nairobi University, that have also offered media courses? How are we working with those staple institutions to ensure that even those who are going through their programs are also offered the same opportunities?
Yes, those were just to mention a few, but everybody is actually in the process of making sure that now they're in tandem with what is the changes that are happening.
Let's get into the Kalasha Awards, the Kalasha Film and TV Festival, International Film and TV Festival and Markets. What does that change mean for the African continent?
That change is huge, because over the last 5 years we have had the Kalasha Awards, but this is a brand new initiative. It's much bigger, and it encompasses the international festival and markets because we want to provide a business opportunity, and also because it directly meets the needs of our industry right now, in terms of the fact that we are going through, or we have gone through, the digital switchover, in terms of the fact that we have the local content quotas, in terms of the fact that, as Juliette put it, there are also a lot of channels out there that are also looking for fresh African content. The fact that as a region, as East and Central Africa, we have over 150 million Kiswahili speakers, so we are looking at a very huge market. So looking at all those dynamics, that is why we settled for an international film festival and market. And it's going to take place over 1 week at the end of October, from October 26th to 30th. During that week, we are going to have the festival, which basically means we are going to have films screened in multiple locations in Nairobi and different parts of the country, including Mombasa, Malindi, Machakos, Nakuru, Nyeri, Kisumu, and other parts of Kenya. And within that 1 week, we are also going to have specifically 2 days dedicated to the market. That is the 28th and 29th, and that's going to be at the KICC, where we are going to have various pavilions. We will have one for Kenya, one for East Africa, and one for the Pan-African region. And we have various countries represented. We have Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia, and then we also have the Indian Ocean Islands of Mauritius, Madagascar, and Reunion. And then on the very final day, it will culminate in the Kalasha Award ceremony.
Juliette, maybe you can expand a little bit more on the international aspect as well.
Yes, so the international aspect is really focused on the market itself. So this is where on one side you have Kalasha International is really embracing the creativity, the cultural side of Africa. The market is really looking at the business part. And for doing so, you have to interact once again with people out there and media players from all around the globe. So let's say for the moment, I mean, people from Asia, Europe, or North America, they are really looking at the continent more and more carefully. And Fortunately, for the moment, you have Discop existing in Kenya, in Africa, sorry, in South Africa, and it's a good market. But it's not enough. There is room for more, and especially knowing that you have so many different and talented media players in the region. So a way to expose them is to have our own film and TV international market here in Kenya. So the international part will be, okay, the concept is we're going to highlight and showcase the talents from the region, but we're going to invite many media players from the rest of the world to come, network, get to know, and start doing business with the companies here. So this is what the market is about. It's really to bring together the companies working in the film and TV industry and to invite the rest of the world. Look, guys, you are coming from Korea, France, or US. You want now to start setting up or settling new businesses in the region. Come over to Kalash International, and you're going to meet up with the right person.
It's beautiful that you pointed that out, because the other aspect that would be worth selling is the fact that as the African continent, we are rich when it comes to our cultural stories. Do we have provision that will celebrate, outside the Kiswahili language, the cultural stories that are viable and they're available to tell on the African continent from different cohorts of tribes and ethnic groups in the African continent?
Yes, we do, because as you're aware, a lot of films, of course, come with subtitles. So that is really an opportunity for us to tell our stories, through our own lens.
And are we maximizing on that?
Yes, we are, because a lot of the digital channels now that have been licensed, some of them are also dealing in very specific languages across the country.
Thematic,
yeah, they are thematic. You can have the National Geographic type, you can have a sports channel, you can have it in any vernacular language, and all you have to do to be able to reach out to the rest of the country is to make sure that you have subtitles, or to the rest of the world. So yes, we are making sure that people are able to tell their stories through their own lens.
And another way also to tell your own stories is also to showcase what are your stories. And for doing so, during Kalash International, we're going to organize pitching sessions. So where you're going to have talented producers from Kenya and from the region pitching their concept and their stories. Before producers, co-producers, or funders, or broadcasters from anywhere. And this is where you can have opportunity to produce content that are related to local stories, but for being broadcast out there. Yeah.
When you're looking at the challenges, the success is already there. It's a point of celebration. It's a platform to showcase what is beautiful about Kenya and also the East African region and Africa altogether. But there are challenges when it comes to celebrating film. Maybe you can share with us some of the challenges that we have highlighted, one being financing, and we already know that copyright is also another issue, protecting of the rights, creative property, for example, on the Kenyan front. How are we working around those challenges to iron them out so that it doesn't dull the initiative that is supposed to be celebrating art in East Africa?
Thank you so much. Like we shared earlier in terms of the financing, we are hoping to soon have a film fund up and running. But over and above the financing, other challenges that we have had in the past is the lack of opportunity for our local stories to be told, for example, on our local broadcast stations. We have had to compete, as you are aware, with the Nigerian soaps and the Mexican telenovelas and others. But fortunately now we also have the content quota, and beyond Kenya anyway, there are other opportunities to put our stories out there on the international channels and also in the rest of the East and Central African region. So there are opportunities now for our local filmmakers with the right financial support and the right building of capacity for various areas. Some of the other challenges, of course, as a country that we have faced, especially in international filmmaking, is the fact that across various counties, film has not been fully understood, and that's something that we are trying to make sure that we educate various counties on the fact that the biggest benefit is not at the point of entry where you charge the licensing fees. It's in ensuring that you have as much filming activity as possible within the counties.
Because it's institutionalizing our stories in essence, yes.
Yeah, so you will find counties that will charge hundreds of thousands of shillings per day which means that basically you're keeping away filmmakers, and these filmmakers will look for other destinations. So we are looking at harmonizing those county fees, fees across various national parks, because that can also be expensive, and making sure that we have a one-stop shop as far as filmmaking is concerned. And we are hoping that in the near future we can have a film-specific visa, so that by the time that filmmaker comes into the country, at the point of entry, we are able to recognize and acknowledge that we have a filmmaker coming in, and we are able to give them all the requisite support. So, but I believe with the modalities that the government has now put in place, if we are focused on delivering on those, then we should see a much more vibrant and more effective film and TV industry.
And the film fund, is there details that you could give in terms of the parameters of funding, or is that yet to be confirmed?
Yes, that is yet to be confirmed, but definitely once the film fund is in place, because again, we have had other small funds in the country and in the region, the modalities should be fairly straightforward. Yeah.
Even as you're looking at the onset of the Kalasha International Film and TV and Markets, maybe you can share with the viewers an idea of what is in the offing when it comes to support for filmmakers in the region, so that they can also prepare themselves, especially for those who are interested in pitching, because some might not have any product already for the showing, but then they would be interested in pitching.
Yeah, so first they have to register, and it's free of cost for all the participants, I mean, being a professionals and students. I'd like to make a call as well to the students who are currently in the film and TV, who are following a film and TV curriculum. So please register on kalashainternational.com. You will benefit a lot in the sense that we are organizing workshops, conferences, and this is where you can gain from what is going on from the industry out there. And so be prepared, yes, if you have stories and you have already worked on your concept and you want to come over and pitch and have a chance to make the others to know about, please come over. Kalasha International will also provide through the website a way to connect before the event with all the delegates in order to prepare your meetings. What we want is to have an effective and efficient platform for new business opportunities. For doing that, you need to meet up with the right person. Kenya Film Commission and us at the embassy, we are here also to support in terms of business matchmaking, because it's also very challenging for the people to say, I have good content, but who shall I meet with, It's not easy to know when you are starting to promote your content out there, to know with whom you have to deal with. So this is where we are around to support and to coach and to guide. And for the pitching, it's free actually. You come, you have a preparation about how to pitch, because that's also, it's not that easy. We have also workshop that's going to be about how to, you were talking about copyright, how to sell, how to buy. That's true when you are traveling around the globe and you are meeting with potential buyers, but it's not easy to negotiate or to know how to make your arguments proper, to make sure your contracts will protect your IP, what kind of fees can you request, how you should limit the copyrights in terms of territories, and so on and so forth. So all these tips and this kind of knowledge is going to be addressed during our workshop. So this is where we really hope to provide as much as possible to all these great talented people out there.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to get to know what's happening when it comes to the Kalasha Team Film and TV and Film Festival and Markets. Even as you're going to be celebrating talent, there's also going to be capacity building for those who are interested in putting their foot in when it comes to the film and TV industry. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've been sensitized when it comes to TV and film matters here in Kenya, and especially in relation to Kalasha. We've had the CEO of the Kenya Film Commission, and we've had Juliette Vivier, who is the regional audiovisual attaché for East Africa, Embassy of France in Kenya. From the team and myself here at Ebro Africa, enjoy the rest of your viewing right here.